You're listening to the Power Agent Blogcast, empowering agents to elevate their business to the next level.
Challenges are just a guide, leading you, don't run and hide. You've got the heart, you've got the drive, feel it pound, you're alive, Power Agent.
Okay, hear me out. Trick or treat.
Huh? Already.
I know. It sounds, completely nuts hearing that when it feels like summer just started. But trust me, we're diving deep into something where, honestly, you cannot start planning too early.
That's right. We're talking about the ultimate trunk or treat party for your professional community.
Exactly. An event that's strategic, designed not just for kicks, but to really wow your network.
Yeah, timing is everything with these things. So our mission today, it's really to pull out the essential timing strategies, the logistics you absolutely have to nail down, and maybe the financial thinking behind hosting an event that's more than just fun. It's a serious business asset.
Okay, good. But maybe before we get too deep into strategy, let's just quickly set the scene. Some listeners might not know the specific terms. Like, what do we mean when we say professional community farm and sphere?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Basically, that's your potential client base, right? Your sphere is everyone you already know, family, friends, past clients, people who send you business.
Gotcha. Your existing network.
Exactly. And your farm. That's usually a specific geographic area, maybe a neighborhood, or sometimes a demographic group you're actively trying to connect with, cultivate as future clients.
Okay, so sphere is who you know, farm is who you want to know.
Pretty much. And this kind of event, it's actually a super effective way to engage both of those groups at the same time.
Right. Using a fun seasonal event to build those relationships.
Huh.
Okay, so define the event itself. What is a trunk or treat party for anyone who hasn't been to one?
So imagine trick-or-treating, but much more contained and organized, usually in a big parking lot. Families gather, they decorate their car trunks.
Like literally decorate the trunk.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes really elaborate stuff. Spooky themes, maybe fog machines, cauldrons bubbling, or sometimes just a huge bowl overflowing with candy. And the kids, all dressed up in costumes, go safely from car to car collecting treats.
Okay, sounds fun. Definitely safer than roaming dark streets. But the professional angle, why spend time and money on this, starting months ahead? What's the business case?
It really boils down to demonstrating competence, seriously. If you're the one organizing or hosting a really smooth, well-run, family-friendly event like this,
People notice.
they absolutely notice. It signals you're detail-oriented, you're reliable, you're prepared. If you can juggle the logistics of, say, 50 decorated cars, hundreds of kids, maybe multiple vendors.
Yeah, it shows you can handle complex stuff.
Exactly. It communicates you're ready for anything in your professional life, whether that's a tricky real estate deal or managing complex client needs. It builds trust, almost subconsciously.
Okay, I'm starting to see it. So let's unpack this more. Our sources stress that these events often go way beyond just candy now. What else makes them so appealing for, big community outreach?
Well, it's the potential for integration. The candy is the core, sure, but the really successful ones, they feel more like mini festivals.
Mini festivals. Like what?
We're talking DJs or even live music sometimes. Those big inflatable carnival games, huge hit. Professional face painting stations, organized costume contests.
All contests are always good.
Yeah, for different age groups. And crucially, not just for the kids. A really fierce trunk decorating contest for the adults. That drives huge participation and creativity. People get competitive.
I bet.
And that's where local businesses can fit in, too. The sources mention bringing in food trucks, maybe a popcorn vendor, or having drinks sponsored by a local cafe or something.
Right, so it becomes a real social hub. Something for everyone, not just the little kids grabbing candy. Makes it a must-attend event.
Exactly, for the whole family.
Okay, now let's get to the tricky part, the core of this deep dive.
Yeah.
The timing. You said no such thing as too early. I get planning is important, but why the mad rush when we're still, thinking about beach days? How much lead time are we really talking?
Okay, think about it. If you're aiming for an event in late October, you should seriously be making calls about the venue, maybe starting permit applications in late June or early July.
July. Wow, that feels excessive.
It feels like it, but it's not really about the candy orders. It's the infrastructure. Putting on an amazing event means you need a good venue, high traffic, safe, accessible. You need permits, probably insurance stuff sorted.
Ah, the bureaucracy.
Right. And those things, the venue booking, the city permits, they don't happen overnight, and they definitely don't happen easily in October when everyone else is scrambling.
Okay, that makes sense. Once the fall calendar fills up, you lose options for venues, and probably the city staff are swamped too.
Exactly. October just flies by. Everyone's trying to do something. By starting in the summer, you lock down those key resources, especially the venue before the big rush hits.
So venue first. Then what about the actual date? Is Halloween night, October 31st, the day to aim for?
Actually, no. That's one of the key strategic points from the sources. Avoid Halloween night itself.
Really? Why not? Isn't that peak costume and candy time?
It is, but think about families. Most have their own traditions for Halloween night, right? Their usual neighborhood trick-or-treating route, maybe a family party. If you schedule your big event on the 31st,
You're making them choose.
exactly. You're competing directly with established routines. You don't want to compete. You want to complement the holiday.
Ah, okay. So position it as like the perfect pregame celebration.
Precisely. The sweet spot, according to the research, is usually the Friday or Saturday just before Halloween.
Okay, that makes sense.
It gives families a dedicated fun night that doesn't clash with the main event, maximizes your potential attendance, and it helps you snag that venue before other groups book it up for the actual weekend before Halloween. Now, before we dive headfirst into the nitty-gritty logistics of running your own big show,
All right.
there's a really important strategic question to ask first.
Okay.
Have you seriously considered sponsoring an existing event instead?
Oh, interesting. Like piggybacking on someone else's party? That definitely sounds easier. Less headache, I imagine.
It can be significantly less.
But don't you lose control? If you're just a sponsor, you can't really shape the whole experience or make sure your brand is front and center, right? Isn't hosting it yourself the only way to get that real wow factor?
Yeah. Well, that's the strategic trade-off, isn't it? Hosting gives you total control. The layout, the activities, every little touch point reflects on you. Maximum brand saturation.
Right.
But sponsorship drastically cuts down your workload and your liability, frankly. The sources strongly suggest checking with local elementary schools, maybe high school PTAs. See if they're already planning a trunk or treat and just need a major sponsor.
Okay, so what's the actual trade-off? Is saving the effort and maybe some cost worth giving up that total branding control?
For a lot of people, especially if it's their first time doing a big event, yeah, probably. The upsides are pretty clear. First, you get guaranteed access to a really valuable demographic, parents, teachers, great potential long-term clients or referral sources.
Built-in audience.
Right. Second, it saves you weeks of administrative hassle. The PTA or school group likely already handles the venue booking, the insurance paperwork, wrangling volunteers.
Just we're about to talk about, yeah.
Exactly. And maybe most importantly, sponsoring puts your name right in the heart of a community organization. You become associated with supporting the school, supporting local families. It really extends your sphere of influence.
Okay, sponsorship is definitely something to weigh up. But let's say you decide you do want that full control. You want to craft the perfect experience, make sure everything aligns with your brand, your standards. You're going to host.
All right, rolling up the sleeves.
This is where it gets really interesting, maybe a bit intimidating. If we're hosting our own, what are those absolute non-negotiable logistical things we need to jump on, like now?
Okay, number one, the biggest one, probably the easiest to put off and the most likely to bite you later, legal and government stuff, permits and insurance.
Permits? Really? We're just in a parking lot giving out Snickers. What's the big deal? Where's the bottleneck?
The bottleneck is lead time and liability. If you're inviting the public, expecting potentially hundreds of people, and especially if you're adding things like food vendors, maybe face painting, those bouncy houses.
The mini festival stuff.
Right. You absolutely need the city or county's okay. That could mean assembly permits, maybe temporary structure permits if you have tents or stages. Plus, the property owner or the city will definitely want to see proof of your commercial liability insurance, often with specific endorsements.
Okay, that sounds like it could involve multiple departments, multiple sign-offs.
It often does. Fire marshal might need to check your layout for safety exits, health department if there's food. It's a chain.
Okay.
And if one link gets delayed,
The whole thing grinds to a halt.
precisely. If you start making these calls in July and you hit a snag, maybe the fire department needs different signage or the city requires paid security, you have time to adjust. If you wait until September and then find out you need a special permit that takes 8 weeks to process.
Your event is probably canceled or massively scaled back.
Yeah, it's basically disaster avoidance. Early action here protects you from a very public failure.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah.
Permits first. That immediately brings up another critical thing. Plan B for weather, right? Fall can be gorgeous, or it can be freezing rain.
Non-negotiable. And it needs to be locked down just as early as your main spot. Seriously, picture it. 50 amazing decorated cars, hundreds of excited kids in costume, and 10 minutes before go time, the skies just open up. A total downpour.
Oh, nightmare.
Absolute nightmare. If you don't have an immediate, prearranged, ready-to-go indoor alternative, that event dissolves into chaos, and that reflects terribly on your planning, your professionalism.
So plan B isn't just thinking about maybe using the school gym. It's actually securing it, getting the permission, checking its availability, maybe even insurance for that secondary location too.
Yes, absolutely. You need confirmation. And that secondary location, maybe it's a community center, a church hall, an empty warehouse space that adds another layer of logistics, which again points back to why starting in the summer is so crucial. You need to know that backup space is available and approved before you even print the first flyer advertising the event.
Wow. Okay, permits, plan A venue, plan B venue, all sorted by like August.
Ideally, yeah. And then, of course, there are the people. You can't do this alone. You're going to need volunteers. Probably quite a few.
Right. You can't run check-in, direct traffic, manage games, oversee candy distribution. Not for a big crowd.
Exactly. And you need to recruit them early, not just for the day of the event, parking duty, candy patrol, face painting, line management, all that.
But also for the planning.
Yes, especially for bigger events. Having a small committee to help with outreach, vendor coordination, decorations, it allows you to delegate. The earlier you recruit, the more likely you are to get reliable, committed people, which frees you up to focus on the bigger picture, the strategic partnerships, making sure the whole thing aligns with your goals.
Okay, that makes sense. Get your team in place early. Now let's connect all this early prep work back to getting the word out. Advertising early seems obvious for getting more people there, right?
It is, but it's more than just attendance numbers. Starting the buzz-in, say, late summer or early fall, gives people plenty of notice to put it on their calendar. Crucially, though, it gives them time to register their trunk if they want to participate that way.
Knowing how many cars are actually participating.
Yes. Knowing your registration numbers early isn't just for bragging rights, it's a vital planning tool. How much space do you actually need? One parking lot section or two? How much candy should you realistically budget for people to hand out? Or maybe how much backup candy should the organizers have? Early registration numbers inform your budget, your layout, your volunteer needs, basically everything else.
So early advertising fuels early registration, which makes the actual planning feasible.
Exactly. It all connects. You know, if we kind of zoom out and look at all this intense early preparation, the core message from all the planning guides we looked at is really simple. Preparation is everything.
Like that old saying.
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin, right. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. He wasn't talking about trunk or tweets, obviously, but the principle holds perfectly.
And in this specific professional context, it feels like the act of preparing for the party becomes a sort of public demonstration of how you operate professionally.
I think so. Getting way out ahead of it, anticipating problems like weather, navigating the permits, it avoids those critical failures. It ensures the event isn't just okay, but a huge success. And that success polishes your reputation.
Right. It reinforces that you're reliable, you're organized, you can handle complex projects.
Exactly. You want the fun, yes. But you also want the smooth execution of the fun to reflect back on your overall competence. It's the difference between just a casual neighborhood get-together and a flawlessly executed professional marketing event that builds real trust.
Yeah. What really stands out to me is how focusing early on the kind of boring stuff, the permits, the Plan B logistics, pushing for early registration. That's what actually enables the fun, flashy part. It transforms it from just a nice idea into something serious, measurable, and ultimately successful professionally.
It forces a level of accountability, doesn't it? And scalability. Once you're coordinating with the city council about permits, you're playing in a different league than just putting up a flyer in the coffee shop.
Totally. So as you, the listener, wrap up this deep dive and maybe start thinking about your own event planning, whether it's for clients, your community, or maybe even your own trunk or treat attempt, I want you to think about that checklist we just went through. Which part of that early planning feels like your single biggest potential hurdle? Is it navigating the bureaucracy for permits? Is it the stress and cost of locking down a solid Plan B venue? Or is it maybe finding enough truly committed volunteers early enough to actually pull it off smoothly? Identifying that main bottleneck for you, that's probably the first strategic challenge you need to tackle.